Welcome to the Everything Actioncast, the official podcast of everythingaction.com.
Hello and welcome to the Everything Actioncast podcast for the week of October 30th, 2023. I'm your host, Zach.
I'm your co-host, Chris.
And we got a ton of stuff this week, so let's jump right in. We have to kick things off with some sad news, though. Much like last week where we had to talk about some people passed away, we have a bunch of people pass away again this week. And I guess we'll have to start with the kind of shocking death of Matthew Perry, which happened over this past weekend. You know, very, very unexpected, very surprising.
Very bizarre.
Yes, I think the the kind of circumstances are still kind of I think being figured out, or they haven't really got into. The only thing they really says they don't suspect foul play, but he was found in his hot tub, and I think they're people were saying they were the official thing coming out was oh, he drowned, but then they found him unconscious. They tried to revive him, and then they couldn't revive him. And there was I think they said there was no drugs or anything around because that I was he, Matthew Perry has had kind of along his he's been kind of trying to deal with that for a long time of drug abuse and then going to rehab. And I think he's been in I think recently I think he's recently I think he's been fairly okay with as far as the rehab stuff and everything, but that was always kind of that was a concern people had of oh, did he overdose, which is horrible, but
it is, but it's not completely
out
out
of the
of
question.
the
Yeah,
realm. Yeah, it's unfortunate that once you have that stigma on you, and it's not like he was completely sober for the last few years. He even
no,
admitted to people,
yeah,
and he's like, "Oh, I still have a little bit of substance thing," but he's keeping it in check. And it's an ongoing thing for him. But this was what? It wasn't like a body failure. It wasn't a the typical
disease,
sign.
it
Yeah,
was cancer or anything like that. Yeah,
no, what some celebrity deaths that come at you because of age and just time and what wildlife. But Matthew Perry is just one of those guys that when after Friends, after you're revealed of his problems, you're like, whoa, and then you understood what happened to his career, and then his minor comebacks and his I guess sort of just his celebrityism wasn't just oh, Matthew Perry the actor only. It's he was just more of a humanized person for that.
mm-hmm.
So I think when his death hits, it hits harder because he we grew up watching him in Friends, and then knowing that basically every did you hear that thing where he just forgets seasons of Friends? He just he drank and partied so hard at some points he just forgot years of things.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear that, it's whoa.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, Friends is gonna be what the thing that he's remembered most for.
Friends and Fallout. I mean, the New Vegas thing
Yeah,
really put
yeah,
him
he was
back.
Benny in New Vegas. He's been there's some movies that his movie career wasn't as big as his TV career. It's definitely way bigger TV. But I think Whole 9 Yards, Whole 10 Yards are I think are pretty people remember those, and like Fools Rush In and Serving Sarah and all these 17 Again is a big one
Ooh, I forgot about 17 again.
where he turned into Zac Efron.
Mm-hmm. Well, because on the cover it's just Zac Efron.
Yeah, but Zac Efron grows into becomes adult Matthew Perry, and then he body swaps back into his younger body. And yeah, and then also, I mean, if you look at his TVs outside of TV stuff outside of Friends, he's been in tons of other just guest appearances before. He became regulars. He was on Growing Pains and Who's the Boss and Beverly Hills 90210 and Dream On and Highway to Heaven and Just the 10 of Us. So and also like post Friends, obviously he was Studio 60 and Sunset Strip was like his like big like more modern show probably, and also like the reboot of The Odd Couple. Remember
Oh
that
yeah.
happened for 2 years.
Who was the? He was the Oscar guy.
Yeah, I think he was Oscar, and then Tom Lennon was Felix Unger.
Yes, yes, because Tom Lennon plays a good, perfect straight guy.
Hmm.
And then it wasn't bad. Like it wasn't, you know, it wasn't for me, but it definitely like when when it was on, it was like nice and it played it safe because it wasn't trying to be anything more than the premise. Though it is hard to beat the original Odd Couple.
Hmm.
So I get it. It tried. And that era of CBS, it was all like medical dramas, and out of nowhere, Odd Couple.
So, another person that is probably best known for a sitcom role that passed away, Richard Moll, passed away last week as well. Probably best known for playing Bull Shannon on Night Court, the original series. But then tons of other, I mean, so many other roles. Tons of voice acting roles, tons of like movie roles. He was Harvey Dent Two Face on Batman animated series. Um, he was on like Hercules, and I think he was also on Hercules and Xena at one point. Um, he was in like the live action Flintstones movie in like a small role. He was in the like cult '80s horror movie House as Big Ben, the main the main antagonist of House. He was in one of our Everything Action favorites, Sidekicks, as the horrible gym teacher.
Yep. He just threw balls and made people climb ropes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and tons of like. It seems like any show from like 1970, like late 70s into like the 90s, he was like at least like a guest star on or like like appeared on at some point. He was Scorpion in the Spider-Man '90s series.
Whoa, I did not know that. He was Matt Gargan.
Yep. And then he was also like, he was in the OG Fallout. So Matthew Perry was in Fallout New Vegas. Like Richard Ball was Cabot in the OG Fallout.
Yeah, I didn't really play the original Fallout. It seems like a sacrilege, but I mean, it's like different. It was a different era.
Oh, another one. So he was Norman on Mighty Max. If you remember that animated show, like he was like the
Yes.
big like bodyguard guy for Mighty Max.
Yeah, I did remember that. He was the giant like warrior.
Hmm. Like the Eternal Warrior that just like did all the fighting for everybody.
Yeah, Max ran his mouth, and
Hmm.
then Norman was there to pretty much slice everyone up.
Yeah. Yeah, so Richard Mole, tons of stuff. There's tons of stuff to check out to like pay homage to him. And then also, last person that passed away last week was Richard Roundtree, who is obviously best known for playing Shaft in the all the OG Shaft movies, and then also kind of reprised his role, sort of. I mean, it's kind of like it's those two recent movies are kind of weird, but like I think he is supposed to be like Shaft, and then like Samuel Jackson is like his nephew or son, depending on what movie it is.
Oh,
But he was
really?
in,
I thought it was like Uncle.
well, it's like in like the 2001, it's like it's his uncle, but then in 2019 one, it's like no, it's his son, and then then Shaft Junior, like Jesse Usher is like Shaft Junior or whatever. So
Huh. I kind of like the uncle angle. I didn't need it to be father and son, but I
yeah,
get it.
but he was in both of like the kind of like reboot sort of Shaft movies with Samuel Jackson. He was in those, and a bunch of other roles as well. He was like I mean, there was a Shaft TV show that ran for like one season. He was obviously in that, and then he was in uh like Maniac Cop and like Blood Fist 3, like a lot of like genre favorites that we like enjoy, like he's in them. But I mean, but he's also in like, he was in Seven, he was in like George of the Jungle, he was in Brick.
I loved him in Brick. He was basically just like the police sergeant in every Shaft movie.
But he was like a high school principal, because
Yep.
that entire movie was just like, it was like a like noir movie but in high school. And then he was also another guy that like just like showed up and like just tons, like throughout like the 80s, 90s, 2000s, he was in like a bunch of like just guest starring on like tons of shows. So yeah, so RIP to all three of those guys. There's tons of stuff to check out for all of them if you want to like, pay your respects, pay your homage. Like, go check out some of their stuff across various streaming services. But moving on to some trailers, we actually got some pretty huge trailers this week, so we'll jump right into those. And we get the first trailer for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is the fourth movie in the reboot series that started with Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Uh, man, when was that? I'm trying to think of when that movie came out. I know that the last one I think was like 2017. Like War for the Planet of the Apes was 2017, I think. But yeah,
I feel like those movies came out every year.
yeah, Rise came out in 2011, so it's been since 2011 with this like new reboot series. And so this will be the fourth one. It's taking place, many years after War for the Planet of the Apes. Caesar, spoiler alert, died at the end of War for the Planet of the Apes because of injuries that he sustained during the Titular War. But he found like a safe haven for all the apes, and then this Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is kind of like picking up. Now there's this whole like ape society is like risen up, like their civilization is evolved even more since like the first three movies. And there's like different clans of apes, and there's a new kind of like ape like despot that's like trying to like take over, like enslaving all the other ape clans. And then humanity is kind of like is devolved into like the feral state we saw like in like, the OG movie, where they were just like kind of like these like tribal non, non they couldn't speak, they were like kind of these mute feral humans, which I think, which they explained in like the with War, where it's like the simian flu is evolving and like turning people. That's like why humans in like by the time like Planet of the Apes starts is like they're like feral mute people.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice way to tie it in if they ever go in that direction. But I wonder if they are, like, if they are gonna hint that basically eventually it becomes the OG Planet of the Apes.
I feel like they got to be building to like like another reboot of just straight up Planet of the Apes. Like,
Yeah, but like, do you want the animals to look more humanoid, or do you want to keep them still animalistic?
well, they got to be like just like what they've been doing, like these like motion captured like realistic ape characters, just with clothes on.
See, I secretly I want this to tie into the Tim Burton universe.
This Mark Wahlberg just shows up for no reason.
Yeah, just sort of it ends on another trilogy of these Planet of the Apes
Mm-hmm.
with the son of Caesar. I forgot his name already.
Cornelius.
Cornelius.
Which is weird because this new movie doesn't have like, it doesn't seem, unless that's like some sort of reveal or some sort of like thing they haven't shown yet. But like Cornelius isn't the main character of this new one. Apparently, it's this like new young ape named Noah. And then there's like this, the evil ape is Proxima Caesar.
I mean, it's supposed to be a generation or two, maybe from
Yeah,
the last.
it's like at least a generation passed since like War for the Planet of the Apes, and they've built up this whole like new ape society with like tribes and like kings or emperors or whatever. And then but then there's also like they're still finding like kind of like human technology. And then that's kind of like one of the things of this new movie is like there's some sort of new like there's some sort of technology that they can find to like turn like like if Proxima Caesar finds this like hidden human technology from the ancient times, and you can like fully take over, which it seems like maybe it's like a nuclear weapon, because that was like a big thing in like the original one. Obviously, it was like this human tribe found a nuclear weapon, and then they blew up like in the second movie they blew up the entire planet again.
But was it in the third one, like, they recovered from that? I forgot how the original one ends. Like, the original...
So the second one, the second original movie, I think it was Beneath, I think. Like Charlton Heston came back for like a little bit, but there was also another like other human guy. And then yeah, they find that there's like this like cult of humans who are still they're not like the feral like tribal people, but they're like more they're like this like weird cult of people. And then they have a nuclear bomb they've been worshiping, and then they blow it up, so that destroys the entire planet like fully. Like Earth is destroyed at the end of the second movie. But then like Cornelius and like a couple like and then like oh, I can't remember the other like the female ape's name, but like they get in a spaceship and they fly off the planet, and then they travel back in time to like 1960s San Francisco. That's the third movie.
And then they raise, like, a family. I remember
Yeah,
that
and then like the third, fourth, fifth, like the original series is like kind of like how Ape Society like turns into Planet of the Apes, because they went back in time and like did all this stuff.
Yeah,
and
it's like a loop.
Yeah,
I forgot they did, like, a time travel thing, so maybe they're going to do that here.
and there's like TV movies and TV shows. Like there's so much Planet of the Apes stuff.
Yeah, I kind of forgot. As soon as I forget that they land, it becomes like a Twilight Zone episode when they land and integrate themselves into society.
Man,
And then I just like forgot.
three is so weird because where it's like, oh, they're like the you know they're like the like he's like society loves them. Like it's like look at these crazy apes who talk. Like there's like montages of them like shopping and stuff, and then the end is just like so horrific of them they get like gunned down.
They get killed?
They get killed, and it's just like the only one left is like their like baby son Cornelius is like in a circus, like, and that's how he grows up in like a circus.
Then he probably starts a revolt later on.
Yeah, because then in like Conquest and like all the other like yeah, like he leads like an ape revolt because like they turned apes into slaves, and then he like leads like a slave revolt and like frees them all.
Oh my god. Yeah, I forgot how complex that got.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of don't talk about that one so much.
But yeah, but this new reboot trilogy, like reboot prequel trilogy, has been incredible. So hopefully this new one will keep up that quality. The only thing I'm worried about is like there's no Andy Serkis this time, which like he was like such a driving force of like those movies. I'm just like Caesar was just such like an incredible character of like so much like emotional depth and gravitas, and like Andy Serkis like just like pouring it out like between his performance and like the CG. Like just made you like totally just buy like there's no doubt like that this is like an actual character you're watching. So I mean, hopefully without him, like they'll still be able to like do these like compelling ape characters. And Wes Ball's directing it, who directed the Maze Runner trilogy, which I don't think I've seen. I think I've seen parts of the first one. I've never seen like the rest of those movies, like the Scorch Trials or any of those. So.
I've seen just like clips. I have not seen the whole thing.
I mean, I've heard they're pretty good. Like, I don't know if he's like Matt Reeves level, but we'll see. And this is gonna be May 24th next year. Next summer, Memorial Day, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And then we also got the first trailer for The Fall Guy, which is coming out in March next year. And this is a reboot of the 80s TV show that starred Lee Majors as a stuntman who kind of moonlit as a bounty hunter. So he'd do like his like movie stunts by day, and then like at night he would like try to track down criminals and like bring them to like or like solve other mysteries. It was super in the vein of like A-Team or like Magnum PI, like any of those 80s adventure shows. But in this new one, Ryan Gosling is the Fall Guy, Colt Seaver, and he is working on this huge, big budget sci-fi action movie directed by Emily Blunt, who is his like ex. They like had a fling a while back, and then he kind of wants to like get back together with her. But then the star of the movie goes missing, who's played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and then Ryan Gosling kind of gets like roped in to like by the producer of the movie to be, hey, go find our star, like he's missing, and then he kind of gets like stumbles into this whole like criminal plot that's happening, where he's in like actual danger, not movie danger.
But his stunt training somehow makes him a capable person.
Yeah. I get the vibe. This is gonna be like one of those movies where it's like it's gonna end in the place where the show like actually was, where it's like he like this is like his first adventure, and then he's like, oh, I'm pretty good at this. I'll become like a bounty hunter or something. But and I also get
I enjoy it. Like
yeah.
I like the concept of the Fall Guy now that I knew what it was, and then this modern version, I like how it's self aware.
Hmm.
I like, especially just like I don't know, like Ryan Gosling when he's like having fun in the movie, you could see it.
I got a lot of like the nice guys vibes from Ryan Gosling's
Yes,
performance. Like it seems like he's doing the same thing he did in there, which I loved.
I was fine with that. I definitely got that vibe too.
And it's also being directed by David Leitch, who brought us Deadpool, Deadpool 2, Atomic Blonde, Bullet Train, and I feel like he's a stunt guy, he's very all about practical effects. So I think this is also gonna be like this like love letter, or like a lot like just like tons of like actual like stunts, or how stunts actually work in movies. Because like he's like he's experienced it, like that's where he came from. So like all the kind of like stunt stuff, like behind the scenes stunt stuff, is gonna be like super accurate, but also like kind of like what he what he's done before, and just kind of like highlighting like, hey, this is what stunt people have to actually do, like in these movies that you watch.
Yeah, I see that.
But yeah, it looks like a ton of fun. It's gonna be March 1st next year, so definitely check out that. Actually, if you're curious about the original series, it's on Prime Video. There's like 2 seasons of that on Prime Video. It's Lee Majors, just like just he'll do some sort of like truck stunt, or like boat stunt. Like he's doing some sort of stunt work in a movie, and then like a criminal like will go missing, or like someone will like show up and be like, and he's like, well, I gotta go drive my truck around and solve this mystery now. It was like his follow up series to like $6 million Man. So like $6 million Man was the '70s, and Fall Guy was like the '80s for Lee Majors. And I think Lee Majors is supposed to show up at some point in this movie as like a cameo or some sort of appearance here. So they are kind of like recognizing where this movie came from. And then we also got the first trailer for FX's like massive historical epic miniseries Shogun, which is coming in February next year, which is based on the James Clavell novel, which is one of the best selling novels of all time, like highly critically acclaimed, selling massive millions of copies, multiple languages. Like Shogun is like very like it's like one of the like just beloved novels of all time. And also had speaking of the '80s, it had a '80s NBC miniseries that starred Richard Chamberlain, Toshiro Mifune back in the day. There's definitely check out shows for that if you haven't seen it, because that's like peak '80s miniseries. Like we talk about like with all these like miniseries that like Spoils of Babylon and stuff like parody. Like Shogun was definitely like in that kind of like vein. But this new one stars Cosmo Jarvis as John Blackthorne, who's like this English sailor. He gets shipwrecked off the coast of Japan, ends up in Japan like it's 1600s, and it's kind of like right before the big civil war between all the daimyos and all the like the feudal lords try to like take control of Japan and become like the emperor. And then Hiroyuki Sanada is Lord Toranaga, who's like one of the main daimyos in Japan. And Anna Sawai is Lady Mariko, who kind of becomes like Blackthorn's like love interest, but also has like her own kind of like stuff going on as well. I mean, it looks pretty awesome. It looks pretty epic, pretty awesome. Like, and it also looks like spared no expenses for like like costuming and settings, and but it also kind of feels like when Westworld went to like Samurai World. It's kind of like
Right.
that. It's like that, but like actually like there's no robots, and it's like the actual time period.
Yeah. I always get that vibe where it almost looks too HD, where it looks kind of like the colors seem very like hued and tinted,
Hmm.
and like it looks artificial. But I get it. It's updated for the times. That's just how what happens when FX throws a shitload of money into cinematography.
Well, probably I mean Disney probably too, because I don't know when this was in production, Disney poster pre like Disney purchase, but like they have Disney money now, so
It kind of reminds me of like I'm not sure if you said it, the guy that made True Detective season 1,
oh, like Nick Pizzolatto.
Nick Pizzolatto, and then the cinematographer and the guy that also made like James Bond.
Oh, yeah, crap. I know who you're talking about.
The Japanese sounding one.
Yeah.
I think it was like Spectre. He directed.
I don't know. Look
Like
that up.
Shawn Mendes slash like
Sam Mendes, yeah.
Sam Mendes, and then oh my god, season 1. Who did that? Who did the cinematography?
Kerry Fukunaga.
Kerry Fukunaga. Like, there's
Yeah.
a certain style that they're definitely emulating.
Mm-hmm.
God, it's like tip of my tongue. I knew.
Yep.
It's like when you know the Kerry Fukunaga, like how it's shot, the cinematography, the exposure. It's very cinematic, and it's great, especially when you're going for a series that pretty much has laid dormant for almost like 40 years.
Yeah, there hasn't been any sort of like attempt to like do a new Shogun since the 80s. The 80s one has been it for 40 years or whatever. Over 40
I'm also
years.
thinking if it'd be terrible if they never finished it, because at least Shogun the original, they finished it.
Well, I mean, this is gonna be 10 episodes. I mean, I think the NBC one in the 80s was like 8 episodes. So there's more episodes of this one. It's gonna be a limited series.
Okay,
So,
they set it out because it's like
yeah.
the worst if it's like, oh, it's gonna be this like epic, and you're like, what? And then it's like, it goes on for how long?
Yeah, they're playing. This is like a limited series, like just the complete Shogun story in one season.
Yeah, I feel like that's fine. The original one, I've seen bits of it. I can rewatch it all over again, but I'm not sure if I want to spoil it.
I think the only thing I've seen of the original Shogun is like one of the like 80s commercial channels you watch, Chris, like 80s. I think it's 80s commercials on YouTube. Like I think they had like the commercials that were aired during a Shogun, so you get to see like the Shogun it's like where it's like the
Interlude.
promo. Where it's like night 2 of Shogun begins. Richard Chamberlain is back as Blackthorn.
I
think
mean, have you played a lot of the Warring State like Japanese games or anything like that?
well, I've watched the actually pretty good, like I don't know if you've seen that, Chris, but like the Netflix, like I think it was like Age of Samurai or something. It was like a
That
documentary
is
series.
not a good documentary series.
The one that like, kind of goes into like the whole like the war like between all the like lords and everything.
It is, but from what I heard, that one kind of like is not that good compared to other documentary series. It's not bad if you like never watched one, right? But
Mm.
in the long run, like from when I watched it, and then it's like other people have said it, it's like, oh, this just feels like very like some shots look really good, and then some of the historical footage, whatever they do, like it just looks weird.
Well, I guess I guess like the like reenactment maybe isn't like that good. Like I feel like the information's good, but yeah, maybe like the reenactment
Yeah,
like
the
the way
information
they
is
the way
it's fine.
they
Like I said, it's not it's entertaining in a way that's like, oh, okay, like it. These are facts, but the way they present it is
yeah
not
it's
cinematic. It's
yeah
just like
it's yeah, you actually like you can get like information about like time period. It's not like the Cleopatra show or whatever where they just totally make up
but they don't
bullshit. Yeah,
dramatize it. But
yeah.
yeah, like I read a review that like I agreed with, where it's like they put a lot of weird marketing in that summer of like, hey, it's samurai shit everywhere,
Hmm.
and then it's like this was like a fart where it's just like,
Oh,
and here's historical one.
they're literally doing it like this like this weekend when this is out. Like we've got Onimusha and Blue Eye Samurai are up on Netflix.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. You get these like you get these samurai shows that happen, and Netflix just like packages it together. Because when that Age of Samurai came out, the samurai about like the Black Samurai also came
Yep.
out too. So it was like, okay, like samurai stuff, yeah, and then that, and you're like, what? But yeah, that's my only critique. I mean, it's just historical dramas and facts and like documentaries. I just like I feel like I've seen better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this though.
I mean, this is sort of it's sort of loosely based on like an actual like there was like a British guy that like washed up in Japan, like became like kind of like deeply ingrained in Japanese culture, but like this is Shogun is very fictionalized and heightened and
Oh yeah, no. If you ever played the game Neo
mm-hmm.
in the Neo 2,
that
it's
that's
based
that
on that.
that is also that's heavily inspired by Shogun. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I played Neo and Neo 2, and they're great games. They're
Mm-hmm.
like you do play a version of like John Blackthorne, and you are stuck in that warring state, and you do play through certain moments. So it's cool. Again, I think the biggest one that everyone kind of got into at the time for gamers was Samurai Warriors, because that was like a bite size entry into it, and especially the Dynasty Warrior kind of way.
And like Ghost of Tsushima like recently too.
Did it take place during this era too, or I thought that was like
I think it was taking place during.
before?
I think it was taking place during that era, but then they like obviously like Tsushima's kind of its own separate island, so they were kind of like separated from like the like mainland war going on or whatever.
Because like the one with the Mongolians are trying to invade in Japan, that sort of happened, but I
Yeah.
mean they only invaded that one colony. Because I'm pretty sure like if the Mongolians showed up, like Japan would have united, I guess. But I mean it
Mm-hmm.
was just a power vacuum in those times, and history keeping was not a thing.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll find out in February. Shogun is. I have high hopes. Hopefully it's awesome. I mean, it's FX. FX rarely steers us wrong as far as like series, so expectations are high. And then last year of this week is that not quite as prestigious as Shogun or either stuff, but Good Burger 2 is coming in slightly like under a month on November 22nd, just in time for Thanksgiving. But this is a Paramount Plus exclusive. It's obviously the sequel to the '90s classic Good Burger, and Keenan and Kel are back as Ed and Dexter. And there's like a new existential threat to Good Burger, where it's like there's this evil corporation that's trying like it seems like they're trying like they're gonna make their own Good Burgers. They're like these like soulless like corporate versions of Good Burger with like robotic Eds in them, and then that's Ed and Dexter have to like stop that from happening and save Good Burger again.
I do feel like Mondo Burger won, like eventually in
Yeah,
this story.
yeah. I feel like this like Mega because it's Megacorp is like the company. I feel like it should be like Mondo Corp, and it's like they're like trying to get revenge or something for like Mondo Burger failing. But I don't think Megacorp has anything to do with Mondo Burger. Maybe we'll find out they do, but maybe they like Mondo Burger was like their like business or something. But yeah, it's sort of like it's like instead of competing with them, they're just trying to like buy. They're just trying to buy Good Burger and then like make it into like a corporate product. It reminds me kind of like Wayne's World, where like it's like they like Rob Lowe like bought Wayne's World and turned it into like this like soulless corporate version of it. It was like you sold us the right, you sold us the rights, like we own it now. Like we're gonna make good burgers across America instead of this one shiny beacon that's like exists that's like everyone loves. Like we're just gonna like the shitty corporate version that's soulless. And like Jillian Bell from Workaholics is like the CEO of Megacorp, and like Little Rel Holloway is like her like assistant. And then like some of the cast from like the original like a lot of the some of the all that folks are coming back, like Laurie Beth Denberg and Josh Server, like Carmen Letcher's coming back from the first movie, and I think like Alex R. Hibbert is playing like Ed's son, Ed Jun like Ed 2, who's basically like also just Ed but like younger Ed. But yeah, I don't know. What like I don't know. The trailer was like I kind of was like. I mean, it's not. It's gonna be Paramount Plus, so it's gonna be free. But like, I don't know. Like, it kind of just. I'm like, I get like Space Jam New Legacy vibes.
Yeah, it feels like it was too good of a thing, and I feel like
It
the
kind of feels like
story doesn't quite match the time frame.
yeah,
I get the setting. It just feels like it doesn't escalate. It's just playing it safe.
it like it might have been too long. Like it's been too long since the first one. Like no one cared. We care because we grew up in the '90s, but like no one like the kids today don't care about Good Burger at all. It's like who's this for? Like I don't know. I mean, I'll probably still watch it because it'll be on Paramount Plus. So I have Paramount Plus, so I'll watch it. But I don't know. I was watching the show. I'm like, oh, I don't know.
I don't mind. Like it's free, and
Yeah.
I mean, if you have the service, I
Mhm.
get it. And I don't
Yeah.
know. It might be good, but um, it's gonna be for diehard fans. I feel.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, you can gather the family on Thanksgiving. Watch this. It'll be on Paramount Plus. And that's it for sure. So let's dive into some other news. And speaking of streaming services, some pretty huge news in world streaming. Disney is going to be buying all the remaining stake in Hulu, and they'll have 100% control of Hulu. So if you don't remember, if you don't know, when Hulu first got founded, it was a joint venture between ABC, NBC, and Fox. They each had like kind of like 33% of like the company. That's why like all the shows from like there was like ABC shows and NBC shows and Fox shows all on the same service. And then when Disney bought Fox, they got Fox's stakes, so they owned like 66% of the company. And so now Disney's buying NBC/Comcast's remaining stock of Hulu, and then they are gonna have full control of Hulu, and they're paying $8.61 billion for those shares.
You know, they're just gonna become like Disney Plus 2. I don't understand why it's
I mean,
still.
it kind of already is. I mean, they like because like there's still NBC series, but NBC has been like really trying to move stuff to Peacock. Which that I mean, going forward, like that'll be like the only place you can get NBC shows is Peacock. Probably after this like merger goes through. And there has been like Goosebumps, the new Goosebumps is on Hulu and Disney Plus. So like Disney's already been kind of like putting stuff on both, or or it's like kind of like like lot like I think like the Mandalorian, Loki, like they're kind of like these like trials where it's like, oh, the first 3 episodes of the Mandalorian are on Hulu, go watch it if you like it. Disney Plus, like. And there is some some regulatory stuff to go through. They gotta make you gotta make sure it's not like a monopoly. They got like FCC or whatever has to determine if it's a monopoly or not. It seems like it's gonna go through, and then um Disney expecting like by the end of this year they'll have full control of Hulu.
Wow. I feel like that's a little too much power now.
Where they'll have like two streaming services fully under their control.
Yep. I mean, the Hulu originals are like, so now they're technically Disney properties. Then, like, they're Disney movies now.
I mean, I guess they could. Yeah, I guess they could like maybe like cross pollinate. They could like put some Disney Plus stuff on there. I don't know if they would put like Hulu stuff on Disney Plus because they're trying to keep Disney Plus at least in like the U.S. like more family friendly. Or I mean, they did put like Netflix like Marvel shows on there and stuff, but you had to like opt into like show me TVMA content or whatever. But I don't think they would have like Justified or like Sons of Anarchy or any of that, like any of the FX shows or anything on Disney Plus. I think that would stay on Hulu. I think Hulu would probably remain like an FX like Fox, like actually like broadcast Fox network. or like streaming service, and then like all the other like Fox properties that they own. I know they have like ESPN. There's like a ton of ESPN stuff on Hulu now. Like live streaming sports is on Hulu. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see it when we'll see if it goes through, and then after it goes through, we'll have to see kind of what changes happen on Hulu. But yeah, if you're an NBC fan though, if you watch all the NBC stuff, you might want to have Peacock. I would say you might need to start looking at Peacock. And we also this week found out that over on Amazon, they're in early development for a Poltergeist TV series. So apparently, a show in the world of the Poltergeist movies. There's no plot. There's no plot details. There's no writers. There's no pretty much no details. It's just like, hey, we're doing this. We own this. We're gonna do it. We're doing something with it. Because I think that was like part of the when they bought MGM. I think they got the rights to Poltergeist.
I mean, do they need to keep? I thought they just made Poltergeist the live action movie like 10 years ago. The one with Sam Rockwell.
Was that a Poltergeist?
Yeah, that was Poltergeist.
Oh my god! Yeah, there was a remake. I totally forgot that
like,
existed.
That's not, I guess it's in 10 years again. Like, here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
I understand they did like a Poltergeist.
2015,
yeah, like a Poltergeist something, but yeah, man, that came and went, and it just like I guess. Just keep the rights alive. The series is
like the most forgotten horror remake of all time. Like no one remembers that movie came out.
Besides me.
Besides you, yeah.
I remember because I caught it on TV,
mm-hmm.
and it was just like a fine show, like a fine movie. Played it safe. It didn't try to do something that like it didn't try to put like a cursed nun shows up or something, like it's just you've got ghosts in the house. I was fine with it. Like I just feel like it was that. She was like, okay, time to update like Poltergeist, but I hope they don't try to make it into a TV show. I know like a lot of freaking networks when they get the rights, they try to run with it and try to make it because does anyone remember the Exorcist TV show?
Like the Fox show?
Yeah.
I watched the first couple episodes and I was like, eh. Apparently, there are people like that. Like, I guess it got better, or there's like fans of that show.
Yeah, I did hear it gets better by the end, but then it's over.
And apparently, I'm on Variety for like the article about this, like the story, and apparently there was a Poltergeist. Poltergeist Legacy was the first Poltergeist TV show, so this would be like the second Poltergeist show because there already was like a Showtime show that ran for 3 seasons. Then like Sci-Fi Channel had it for the final season. So it was 4 seasons of Poltergeist Legacy, which is about a group called The Legacy that protected mankind from supernatural dangers.
Huh. Did not know they had that kind of show.
So, maybe this show will be like something like that, or maybe it'll just be like a TV remake of the original movie, and then go from there. Who knows? There's no details. We'll just have to keep an eye out on as it develops and see what this is. But yeah, Amazon is like really trying to like all the properties they got from MGM. They're like really trying to figure out like what we're gonna do with like all these like properties, like RoboCop, and then like they're making like a new like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series that's gonna be like set in that world because they own like the rights to that. Like I think the US versions of those movies. They're doing that Bond like Amazing Race show with Brian Cox.
Oh god, the ads for it sound so aggressive if you hear it.
Mm-hmm. Because it's like, if they want to make an actual Bond movie, they have to like go to the Broccolis, but they can do like Bond adjacent stuff like a reality show, and then that's fine. They fully own that. So, but yeah, all these MGM properties just get ready for TV shows or movie remakes because Amazon's like seems like very very anxious to like get them like kind of like back in the zeitgeist, like do something with like all the stuff they bought for however much they paid for MGM. And then last story for this week is that we got some news that Chuck Norris is going to be back in action. He is starring in a new movie that's coming out next year, a new action movie, along with Derek Ting and Mark Singer, aka the Beastmaster himself, for a new movie called Agent Recon, which is a sci-fi action movie where a squad of like special forces soldiers are sent to to take on there's like a mysterious energy disturbance in New Mexico, and then they have to fight aliens. And Chuck Norris is the commander of that team, and then there's also like Derek Ting and Mark Singer are like members of that team.
They explain the age because it's like, why do you have a bunch of
80-year-old guys,
yeah,
78-year-old guys? Yeah.
Why don't you younger guys?
I would assume Derek Ting, who I think is like a kind of like martial arts like action guy, is going to be probably doing most of the fighting, and then Chuck Norris will probably like be firing a gun, maybe kick someone at some point, but and then Mark Singer will probably just be like shooting a gun at random alien things. Who knows? Maybe they're like like maybe they'll actually like do some fight scenes. That'd be incredible. But
that'd be fine.
Yeah,
I don't mind to see that. I just want there to be epic music playing when he finally does it.
and hopefully not like a lot of like crazy cuts like a Liam Neeson movie where it's just like we got to try to make it look like he's doing something.
Right. Or it's just like he's having fights, but he somehow has a chair, like he's sitting down.
Steven Seagal style. I'm gonna have a fight scene on a couch, and I'm not gonna move off this couch. We're gonna fight on this couch.
Can't believe that's actually a thing.
Mm-hmm. And Derek Ting also is directing the movie, so he's starring and directing in it.
What was he in?
He's been in a bunch of I believe is he Chinese or looks like he was in like Super Capitalist and Agent Revelation. So yeah, I don't think like not a lot of like well known movies, but this like I guess like with like Chuck Norris and like Mark Singer involved, this will probably be like his like most high profile movie to date. And it's all with like I think a lot of his movies he's done with Quiver, and Quiver's the one that are like distributing Agent Recon. So he's like Derek has worked with them before on movies. But yeah, definitely curious. Like hopefully we'll get, if it's coming out next year. Hopefully we'll get a trailer like soonish, and we can actually see like what this is. We only have like a promo shot of like all three of those guys, and like it's like Chuck Norris has like double machine guns in like classic like Invasion USA pose, and then Mark Singer's got a gun, Dirk King has a gun, and they're in like camo. That's all we have right now.
It's just Space Expendables, but like a third of the budget.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the last thing we saw Chuck Norris. Like that's the last major Chuck Norris thing was like Expendables 2. So yeah, definitely curious and excited for like to see like Chuck Norris back on the screen in something, and it'll be sometime next year. We'll see that hopefully. And then that's it for news this week. So why don't you jump into show and tell? And Chris, what did you watch over the last week or so here?
So I recently watched The Exorcist to get ready for Halloween.
The original, not
original,
not Exorcist Believer.
Yeah, I watched the original Exorcist as a rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long time since I've seen it. It's definitely a movie I can understand why it's scary and it's beloved, but I don't know. It's not a movie I want to watch like more than like once every like 10 years to me.
Oh no, it's not like a fun like let's just throw on The Exorcist. That's fun. Like,
Yeah, it's like the beginning feels like homework, just because you need to like follow each character's background and then sort of like build up the the belief that possessions are real and the devil's real and that evil's real and that the church does exorcisms, but it's been like a very forbidden and like uh sort of like hush hush detail about their society. And then you learn a lot about the other priest, who I just forget his name all the time, that isn't Christopher Plummer, the other priest
mhm.
that is having a question of faith, until basically he discovers that that his work does serve a purpose, and it is to be like a servant of God and all that. And it gets like very religious, and it's like I kind of forgot that, especially if you think about the other versions, other iterations.
Mhm.
This one really does put a whole like it challenges like if you have religious ideas and ideologies, it's sort of like a counterbalance. So it's like if evil exists, then so must good, but the good is very limited in power. Uh, and the crazy thing is, like, I remember way more parodies of The Exorcist and more modern takes on this than the original. Like, do you know the scene in Constantine where he performs an exorcism and that's only like 8 minutes long or less?
Mhm.
That's his whole movie. That one scene is the last 20 minutes of this 2.5 hour long movie. The first hour of The Exorcist has nothing to do with the last hour. I mean, besides building up the mythos and all that, the first hour is just talking.
Yeah, because like like Chris McNeil thinks is like, oh, this is like some sort of weird disease that my daughter has. I have to like go to like
Nope, that
doctors
doesn't
and
happen yet.
oh, it's been a while since I saw it too. But like,
Yeah, that's like the second act. The first part literally is just her going about her day and then like going about her acting and a lot of like establishing shots and zoom outs and then like not fake outs because they didn't use that yet, but just sort of like long takes and then people walking and a lot of like just running the time reel. So you think it's that. That doesn't happen yet. The next hour is her trying to do like experiments and then crying and then complaining about her ex husband who just does not give a shit to be there.
mhm.
So it's a lot of that. Like that, like the first hour is just establishing that it's like it's Reagan's birthday, and then the priest has he can't find the balance between his personal life and his calling, his calling, the Jesuits. And then you get the detective who's just like, hey, I heard about this thing. Or not, or there's been like crazy stuff happening in New York, or not New York, in Washington. That sort of just like builds towards that. I don't think the detective even comes in until like the 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 director that dies off screen, I think. They're just like, hey, did you know the director of this movie is dead? That's it. Like they don't even revisit that. I think it's just mentioned once. I don't remember if he
And
died. I kind of was doing other things, but it's one of those things where like, oh, he's dead, and then it's like, what? Yeah, Burke's dead. The director, Burke, remember him?
well, the detective too, like Kinderman, also it becomes like the main character of Exorcist 3.
I mean, he's interesting. Kinderman is a interesting character, but the movie has so many like I guess like the book that this is based on probably is better to read to pace to follow these characters. But Kinderman in this one, he dresses like Detective Clouseau. He sort of just like doesn't do anything besides act as the law, so that way when all this shit happens, it's like valid. It's like, oh, it's by the books and there's no crime against this yet. So that's something that, again, I'm not insulting exorcism. It's inspirational. It's put a lot of inspiration out there. it's just one of those classic movies that maybe to me just doesn't ring as much, or maybe I just been feeding on too many junk food horror movies. But it's just like I watch it out of respect to watch it. I, the cinematography, the establishing shots, the acting are all great. I just maybe I don't know. Like I can't be the only one who thinks that. Who just like yeah, I just don't want to watch it anytime soon. Maybe if someone like has never seen it before, I'll watch it with them.
Well,
And
I
if it's
mean,
been like yeah,
well, the pace, yeah, like you're saying, like, oh, the first hour is like just like establishing shots. It's definitely, the pacing is very different than, because it was the 70s. It's a totally different style, like plotting and movie making. If you're used to, like, yeah, or if you're used to, like, or if you've been like, because now it's like all, even like the Conjuring stuff is all like crazy, just like over the top, like the entire house is exploding. Like, it's like,
oh yeah.
um
If I went back in time and just showed him a DVD of The Conjuring, I would have been like an Oscar award winner movie maker. Just be like, this guy's like a visionary.
yeah,
But it's hard to come back from that. Like unless you state that this is a very independent movie with low budget based on the time frame, like The
I mean,
Exorcism feels that way at times.
I don't know if it's a low budget. I mean, I think it
Oh
was
no,
like,
no, it was high budget. That
yeah,
movie. No, the fact that they go to the like settings, it's like they find a lot of places, they do a lot of salvage. It's not CG. It's like they figured out how to do it. It's a film. I think I watch it more as a film like critic, so I understand the history of film. Like I don't know what the correct term is because I'm not a filmmaker. I'm not a filmmaker to say, oh, I know that's how you respect the art. I
you
appreciate it. Yeah.
I'll say, you need to watch, if you haven't seen, like, if you haven't seen Sorcerer yet, Chris, for like William Friedkin, like that's the movie that takes, if you think The Exorcist takes a while to like get started, the Sorcerer takes, like, I think probably at least like an hour and a half to like even get into the main plot of the movie. Like, there's like an hour. It's every each of the main characters gets like at least like a half an hour of like a setup, of like a full like mini story to set them up, and then it eventually gets into like, oh, now we're in the main story. We're an hour and like 15 minutes in this movie, and then we're finally getting to like what the actual like selling point plot of the movie is. But it's also like amazing. Like, it's like all the stuff that makes William Freaking amazing. Like, yeah, the way it's shot, and like the locations and the acting and everything. Like,
So I get it. Like, it's definitely a movie watching experience to say that you've seen it. It's also to say that you understand the art of it, like the appreciation of it. I don't know. Like especially when you're looking for like a spooky, scary, quick Halloween movie you throw on and just laugh at and have frights. Exorcist takes a long time to get to that, and yeah, like
it's
it's definitely. Hmm?
it's probably one of those things too, where I think we talked about before, where there's been so many like parodies and like stuff that's like been influenced by The Exorcist, that you go back to the original and it's like, oh, I've seen this before, even though this is the movie that started all of it. Like, or it's like, I've seen like the fake version of this, and that's
I've
like kind
seen
of
way
like,
too much of the fake. Yeah,
yeah.
so I get it. It again to wrap it up, so it's so long. Uh, I am interested in seeing Believer now. Like going from this to Believer, I think would be like an interesting updated version. And from my understanding, Believer is good if you appreciate sort of like the themes and then the original intent of The Exorcist, because it wasn't trying to be like popcorn horror. It wasn't trying to do um like poppy cinematic junk food. It was trying to do something that is in lines of, oh, this is like religious horror, and then the struggles of like humanity versus like evil, but you just are it's an unfair fight. Exorcism is good for that. Like, has a great ending, has a great message about like sacrifice and then doing the greater good. So
If you've never seen 3, I would highly recommend checking out 3 too, because 3 is like really good.
That's not the Heretic, is it?
No, 2 is Heritage 2. 3 is like it's Exorcist 3. I forget what the subtitle is, but it might just be Exorcist 3. But it's the actual like William Peter Blatty who wrote The Exorcist, directed that movie, and yeah, it's much more of like a serial killer like crime movie, but then it has like supernatural elements, and it's George C. Scott is like becomes Kinderman because Kinderman played a different actor in the first one, but then now it's
Yeah,
George
because
C.
Kinderman's
Scott.
like
It's got
aged
Brad
out.
Dourif in it. Is like the Gemini killer who's just doing a crazy like Brad Dourif performance. There's some crazy sequences, some crazy kill sequences that are in there. Definitely, it's become like a cult classic. Like people really appreciate Exorcist 3 now.
Yeah, I give it a shot. I feel like this was something that, especially some critics, they say Exorcism is their top horror movie, and it's like, I get it, but do you want to keep watching this like yearly? Some people like watch this movie a lot more than I thought. And it's like, again, I get it. I understand the hype if it was the '70s.
And it's like the exorcism genre is like so overdone right now. Like
It is.
Brother Media did the whole video about like, oh, what is it? What is on Tubi? It's exorcism movies and shark movies, and then sometimes there's like shark exorcism where they combine them. So it's like because you can just make it. Anyone can just make like a shitty like demon movie, just like where you just like throw like holy water on like a person like squirming on a bed, and then that's like, oh, it's exorcism. We just film in our bedroom, like.
Yeah, it's a genre-defining movie, and I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get into the next movie that's sort of like that. So I also started watching, and I finished Bodies on Netflix.
Okay.
I was watching that like casually, and I just ended up watching all of it, just finishing through the last 2 episodes.
I haven't started yet. I put it on my queue. I'll probably get to it hopefully soon.
I won't talk much about it because I feel like you need to finish it to get to where I'm at because I can get into a tangent. I want to
Mm-hmm.
avoid that just because I should say like it checks everything off my box of things I love, like BBC suspense, uh, time travel,
Mm-hmm.
time looping, and then sort of like curveball sci-fi that ties it all in. But I'm not spoiling it much, but it does a good job. That basically, I hope they don't do a second season. Like it feels like a very tight story. I don't. I think the comic is finished. Like it was a comic first, and then they got to like where the story needed to be, and they went, "Yeah, let's just stop." But I like it. I like its message and its themes. Uh, Definitely like again, it's hard to go from exorcism to like bodies, but different thing, different horror, different elements of the like sci-fi that the show. If you get to a certain point, I don't want to spoil it. They do say we can't explain it. They kind of do like, oh well, how does this happen? And then someone looks at sort of in the camera, or like at least 3 times in one episode, Zach. They will say, "Don't think about it. Like we can't explain it. It just happens."
Mm-hmm.
Time travel. You're like, what? Like how is this? How is this body show up in 3 different errors? It's just like time travel. What do you mean? Doesn't don't. It could be whatever. Like it's so like dumb. Like whoa, okay. But it's like it's like the one hurdle that every few episodes you will be asking yourself that. But I mean, not to spoil it because you understand that this show takes place over like 4 different errors, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That was in the trailer.
But if you like didn't even bother with the trailer, because I feel like because I knew that it does sort of spoil 1 or 2 things, but the show will go back and forth to repeat certain things to make sure you're understanding the timeline. But there's some parts in the show where like it'll do camera trickery where one person will exit a doorway and then the person in another timeline enters, and it's just like, whoa, okay, we're jumping forward, blah blah blah. So it's like artistic,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still fine. Like I enjoyed it. I definitely want to talk more about it when you finish it. And then
I
last,
was I heard just like what I've heard from like other places is like which like if you think this, but like the furthest future timeline seems kind of cheap as far as like production design and stuff. But then like the 1940s, like 18, and then like the what is it, 19 or like 1840s,
18,
whatever. Like
1890, and
those
then
those
19.
those are like
Yeah.
meticulous, like those look fantastic, like costume and like setting and everything.
Yes.
But then like the future one's like we put like a fin on a car, and that's the future. Like
It's just the British future. They
yeah.
went weird. But they kind of went in the direction of V for Vendetta, where they had future clothes that sort of are more militant, and then you have one character who looks like she's trying to be like the laziest cyberpunk 2040 whatever like
Mhm.
cosplayer, and I'm like,
Yep.
okay, she looks like that, right? Then her neighbor later on, like you meet her neighbor, is just some woman in a bathrobe. I'm like, what? Is that like a future bathrobe or clothing? It's just like, oh, that's your neighbor. That's like the gossipy girl next door, and you're like,
Mhm.
what? Yeah, you feel the production value in the earlier segments, and then when they get to the future, it's just like it is sort of cheap. But again, at that point, I'm watching it for the purely for the story,
Mhm.
and I will forgive that.
I think the good thing too is like it's also like it's one contained story. It's not like we're not getting a what was the 1887 or whatever the that series where they canceled it
On
and
the
we'll never
boat.
find out what happened. Yeah.
Well, that one, yeah, like that's what I'm saying. If they never had a second season and this was like to finish over this one story, I would be pissed because it's like you can't just introduce this.
Yeah, this is all one. This is like a limited series, so it's like there should be like a. Have you watched all of it, or you said you watched
Yeah, I
all of it?
finished it.
So yeah,
I,
there's like a conclusion to everything.
I mean, there's sort of like this hint. I don't want to again. I don't want to spoil it, but it's one of those things where it's supposed to be little like, oh, look at that, like
Maybe Netflix,
maybe, but
hint hint, Netflix, maybe.
but
Like
I swear to God, they don't need to. It's just it's a nice like, oh, okay, how are you gonna explain that? It's like you could, but if you don't, I'm okay with it. I like not like this is a comfortable amount of info dumping that I don't care about the one part because it's one of those like you already broke the rule of the thing, so whatever. Because again, I don't want to spoil much, but it's like okay, this makes sense. I don't know how anymore because of if you think Back to the Future logic and you think about any of those things, it sort of goes in line, and then it does a new sort of new thing, but not really. Damn it, I don't want to keep talking about it, but yeah,
mhm,
go watch it so we
mhm.
can talk. Uh, then okay, wait. Before that, like it's sort of like Loki. Then if you watch this and Loki back to back, it's a nice satisfaction of that because I was watching Loki and this at the same time. I haven't
Mhm.
watched this week's Loki, but it's sort of that. But can you imagine if Loki just fucking ended right now? You're like, what happened?
Oh my god. Yeah.
Like well, imagine it ended on the episode that came out like right before this, like that one episode where like they entered the time thing and then just it goes completely bright.
Yep.
That like that's how upsetting the show could have been because there are moments that do that and you're like, is this the last episode? And like, okay, shit, there's more, thank God. So yeah, you'll see what I mean. Anyway, and the last movie I'll talk about, and we'll chime in because we saw this. We saw The Ring with
Yep.
Chris from Radio Horror. We
Mhm.
threw that on and gave it a whirl and just try to remember as best we could about that movie.
It still holds up. I think
Hmm.
it's a similar thing to we were talking about the Exorcist, like, and I think you mentioned in the commentary, like you're so like contaminated, or, like kind of like if you're influenced now by like, a scary movie, where it's just, like going back to like the original is like weird now because you have the
It
parody in your
is,
head.
and also it's very simple. Like it's not like it's more an investigation horror, and
Yeah,
this woman who is constantly being bullied by the thing that she's helping is so like bizarre. Like I don't understand the rule.
Well, it's odd that like Naomi Watts like keeps watching the tape. It's like, oh, the tape that murders you. Just keep watching it. And we were joking like, oh, is Samara gonna like just keep calling, and be like, I'm taking a day off because you watched it again. Like,
I know. The like, what happens if you keep watching it? Does it speed up your thing? Do you reset the counter?
well, the big rule is that if you copy it and give it to someone else, then you
Or
get
out of the
spared.
loop?
Yeah.
But she did that really early within her time limit, and it still bullied her.
Hmm.
And the point is that she wants to make more copies so she can like spread her message. At least that's
Yeah.
what the first movie establishes. But if you do it, you can still get killed.
I
You know
guess
what I mean? Like,
I guess if someone doesn't watch the copy you make, because then you're still a target or something. Because she makes Torque watch it and then he gets killed. So
we're just calling that guy Torque.
Torque McTorque. No, yeah, Martin Henderson. Yeah, um, rocking like the most like 2000s haircut. And then the one thing that stuck out to me like on this rewatch was I'm pretty sure it's intentional because it's supposed to be like this commentary on like technology and everything, but like just how it's it's taking place in 2002, right? Like it's taking place in like the present day of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
like when it came out. But just there just so much like antiquated or like outdated technology that's being used. Like no one's using cell phones or like, barely using cell phones. People are barely using computers, and it's like it's all VCRs and like landlines and newspapers and like it's all like super like obsolete like technology and research being done. Like Naomi Watts like works at a newspaper, but she doesn't use a computer or like barely uses a computer. She like goes in like the archives of the newspaper, just like digging through these like giant like binders of newspapers, and then is calling people on landlines, and like Samara's calling people on landlines. No one has a cell phone to call each other to be like, hey. I'm at this lighthouse. It's weird. Like, hey, spoiler. Like Brian Cox like killed himself in the bathtub by like plugging a bunch of shit into like electrocuting himself. Like,
She's been at 5 different crime scenes, and
yeah,
no cop cares.
hmm. Yeah, yeah. The police also don't exist in like the Ring universe, except at the end.
But even then, they let her go.
Yeah,
For all we know, she's like some sort of weird serial killer, some Washington State killer, and then she's just like, oh well, I gotta go home to my kid.
and also the other thing to jump up to is like the actual like Ring video is. I mean, it's still pretty creepy, but it's also we were talking about like we were making jokes like if you just throw some like Nine Inch Nails or like some sort of like like early 2000s like industrial rock over that, you just got a music video. Like,
Yeah, industrial, you can get it.
yeah, I mean, and there's like Nine Inch Nails videos that are creepier than that video. Like, but yeah, I mean, there's some like weird. It's like it's a well done like weird imagery of like like animals getting murdered or whatever, or just like very odd scenes. But yeah, it definitely doesn't have like the same impact as like it might have had like 20 years ago, whatever when it came out. It's
I mean, it was scary. I admit
yeah.
it. Like when I was a kid, younger, watching that, I was a little
Oh yeah,
afraid.
yeah. Like the first time you see it, like it's pretty disturbing. And but if you watch like other like like Nine Inch Nails music videos or just like other stuff that's come out since then, and you go back to that, it's like, oh, this is just kind of odd. The end still holds up, even though I've seen like that scene like a bazillion times. It's still pretty good. Like when like Samara crawls out of the TV.
Yeah, it's still like pretty cinematic to watch her
Yeah,
show up and she's pissed and she's just like
and
a
like
ghost
and
zombie.
and then the effect that like Verbinski puts on, where it's like she still has like the like TV static on her, but she's like in out of the TV, but it's still kind of like the TV effects are still going on. Gore Verbinski is like an incredible director. Like he definitely elevated like that movie to like uh way more than it could have been. Like this could have been just like a very shitty like remake of like a kind of like critically acclaimed Japanese movie, but then instead
Yeah.
it kind of like because of his directing and definitely kicked off this whole like J horror like trend of horror where we got like The Grudge and Dark Water and all these other like remixed Japanese horror movies.
I don't know. I haven't seen Dark Water in a long time, and The Grudge is okay. It's I'm not sure what's scary. The Ring of the Grudge now for that time frame.
Well, who won that fight?
I don't know.
Who won Samara versus like the kid from The Grudge? Like who won that fight? Because they fought each other apparently at some point. Oh, they also like on the like Wikipedia page for The Ring. They also mentioned Shudder was another like kind of Japanese horror remake, and then The Eye, like the Jessica
Oh
Alba
yeah, I
movie.
forgot about the eye.
But yeah, that was definitely the trend for like the early 2000s, at least like early to mid 2000s was like horror is now remakes of Japanese movies. But yeah, anything else, Chris?
Oh, that's it for me. What about you?
So I watched a bunch of spooky stuff because obviously this week was Halloween. And I actually saw this past weekend's box office sensation, Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, $80 million opening weekend.
Oh my god.
One of the best horror movie opens, like the best Blumhouse movie opening of all time. I think the third best horror opening of all time. So yeah, like the Five Nights at Freddy fans came out in droves to see this in theaters. I watched it on Peacock because it's also on Peacock. It was like day and day at Peacock. Um, how how like do you know a lot about the lore, Chris? Are you like
I watched a lot of the game theory
okay?
videos,
Because I
and
because I went in basically cold. Like I have no knowledge of like any of the backstory of the characters. I've watched and played a little bit of the first game. That's all I've seen or done of Five Nights at
I,
Freddy's.
yeah, I mean,
And
it's one of those cultural phenomenon ones that you play
yeah,
just the first game. I don't know if that's just going to hold up for the other parts.
because what I'm hearing is like if you're like a fan, if you're like very into like the lore, apparently like everyone who like is like very into like the lore and played all the games loves this movie, and then
But
everyone else is kind of like it's fine, or like or either didn't like it or just kind of is like it's fine, it's not anything great, but
but
like
okay, here's my baseline. I know the first game. I know the second game to a degree because of Game Grumps.
mhm,
I I have to watch more game theory things to catch up on certain characters because it's always been like hinted at of what the where the spirits are, like who's controlling what, and then if Golden Freddy or the Golden like Freddy or whatever like is there, it sort of like changes something. Then there's a whole aspect because then they did like another one where it's like you are playing a simulation or something like that. Like it gets weirder because I know four was the one where it like, doesn't take place in the pizza place anymore. It takes
mhm,
place in a child's bedroom. Then five is like you're back at a pizza place again, but this time the spirits jump bodies, so like it can switch up who's chasing you this time.
mhm.
And then I just like I kind of stopped.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
any of that. Like
I
I
don't
just
think I don't think they
I
got that far in the movie, right?
no, I went. I think this is mostly based on the first one. I mean, I think there's probably I, I don't know. I don't know. Like people who know Friday Night Freddy's chime in or like there's probably, I'm sure there's probably stuff that like, oh man, it's that thing, it's that character that's like shows up in like the fifth game or whatever. They're teasing it or whatever. I don't know. I just went in like looking for like a like at least better than like Willy's Wonderland was my bar, and I think it surpassed that. I feel like they kind of have like opposite problems. Like Willy's Wonderland was like all had basically like no plot, and it was like super repetitive. And then this Five Nights at Freddy movies has like way too much plot, and then not enough like animatronic mayhem. Because like Willy's Wonderland at least had like Nicolas Cage like every couple minutes like fighting like a robot and like killing it, and then like going in the break room and like for playing pinball for whatever reason. That was like the odd structure of that movie. But this is like so much of like Josh Hutcherson trying to like reliving like his brother being kidnapped and then having like dreams and like I will get the credit that they actually do like it's like takes place over 5 nights because it's like every night Josh Hutcherson goes to like Freddy's and then like has like learns a little bit. He's having these like vivid dreams of like the day his brother was like kidnapped, and he's like learning more information each night. And there's
Wait,
like
his
these like
brother got kidnapped there?
not there, just like in like in the past, like his brother got kidnapped, and then he has a younger sister who's like the girl, like the little girl in this movie is this younger sister.
Oh, I thought that was like his
Son.
daughter.
That's what I thought too. I was like, oh wait, it's his sister. And then like Mary Stuart Masterson is like their aunt, and she's like trying to get custody. That's like one of the other like kind of like drama like things in this plot in the movie. And then like so Josh Hutcherson kind of like is like he got fired from his like he was a mall security guard, and he got fired for like being the shit out of a guy because he thought it was like he was kidnapping a kid. It turned out to be the kid's dad, and so he got fired. And then like and he hasn't had a job since then. And then like he goes to like this like employment agency, and Matthew Lillard's there, and it's like, hey, I got this one job. It's pretty shitty. You have to work at nights. It's at this like abandoned pizza place. You have to just be the security guard for there. And so he takes that job, and then something with something with like the like nature of Freddy's like lets him like have like more vivid dreams, and he's like seeing like these ghost kids in his dreams, and then he's like slowly kind of like piecing together like, oh, I try to figure out like the guy that like kidnapped my brother, because maybe that person's like involved with what happened to these kids at Freddy's or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the big driving plot. And then also he eventually has to start bringing his sister to like Freddy's because they have like no babysitter, and then she like kind of becomes friends with like Freddy in the gang. There's a bizarre like it's like almost like an 80s montage of like like 80s like a break in two or something where like it's like let's paint the community center. It's like this like montage like them like it's like because like Josh Hutcherson's sister Abby wants to build like a fort, and it's like let's build a fort. It's just like da 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 da. We're building a fort
With
Freddy.
the robots?
Yeah, our friends Freddy's. It's just like
I
was
don't
like,
think
what?
that's in the game.
I was like, what the hell is this? Like they're like Freddy and the gang are like nice. They're friendly. Like I didn't think that was like the like
The plot, no,
the plot like in the games. Like I mean, you find out you find out they kind of have like nefarious purposes or like later
they're trying
on.
to
But,
lure
like,
this girl in.
yeah, but like for like a lot of the movie, there's kind of like they're like kind of just like friendly giant robots.
Just
And
hanging out with this girl.
yeah, and like there's definitely not enough of them like going on a rampage or like killing people. There's like one scene that is like what I was like hoping the whole movie would be, where like some people like break into Freddy's, and then the robots like Freddy and the gang are like stalking and killing them. But it's one scene, so I was pretty disappointed as far as like that part. I mean, maybe that's not what Freddy friends are going into this movie for. So that maybe that's why they like it more, because it's all about like the characters and the lore and like the backstory. I was not going in looking for that or like, expecting that. So I will say like probably the highlight of the movie definitely is like the robot characters, because like they're like Jim Henson Workshop creations, and they look incredible, and they like the way they move. They're like practical actual characters. They're not CG
Right.
or anything. So that they did that extremely like that. That's probably like one of the reasons to see the movie is just like to see how those characters come to life in like practical form. But yeah, I mean it's fine. I think if you have Peacock and you're curious, I would say check it out. I don't know if I would like run out to the theater and see it in a theater. But apparently, also if you're like super hardcore Freddy and Freddy fans, apparently you like this is like right up your alley. So I don't know. Because that's what I've seen from like people who are like into like really into like the lore and into like played all the games. Are like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I wanted for this movie. So if it's that and you haven't seen it yet, I would say yeah, go check it out.
I mean, I would say, I mean, estimating it, I didn't think it was for the fans, but now it's like, yeah, it's just for the fans.
Yeah, it seems like it's just for the fans.
I thought it'd be a little bit of a middle ground, but there is no middle. It's either like you're all about it or you're completely lost.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was terrible. It just like I was kind of hoping it would be more like more robot mayhem, more over the top. It's also very dour and very serious. Like the Josh Hutcherson is just like so just depressed and like dour and serious the entire movie. Like and the whole movie's kind of self serious. I was just like that's kind of not the tone I was looking for either. Like when you're talking about like a movie where giant animatronic robots like kill people. Like I don't want this like deadly serious like like study about like about like past trauma or whatever it is. So
Hmm.
there's got to be some sort of like between like Willy's Wonderland and this. If you like somehow took the best elements of both and combined them, then like that's kind of the movie I would like. I want
The
like
Banana Splits movie.
maybe I haven't seen it yet. I'll have to watch that and just like see if that's like the ultimate the ultimate version of this.
I've heard it's okay. Like,
hmm
it's not mind blowing. I've seen clips. I kind of know the plot, and I agree. It's like it's self aware.
Like if you took like the animatronic characters the way they're done here and like the setting here, but then have an over the top like Nicolas Cage character and like more a more like light a lighter tone or like more like self aware tone. That's kind of I feel like that's kind of what I'm wanting, but like maybe that's not what Fight Night at fans want. They want like dour, serious character study.
Seems so because they're the ones who are seeing this movie a lot.
Yeah. So who knows? I thought it was okay. I wasn't really too big. It's definitely not the best video game thing that's come out this year. I think I prefer like even like Twisted Metal over that this and like definitely not as good as like Last of Us or Super Mario Brothers movie. But if you have Peacock, if you're looking for something slightly spooky, it's fine. And then I also on Halloween I watched Cobweb over on Hulu, which came out earlier this year. Over like it came out had like a limited release this summer, and I thought it was pretty good. It's a kind of nasty little like horror movie. It kind of feels like a Tales from the Crypt or like a not quite Creep Show because like Creep Show usually has like it's kind of like a lighter like cheesier tone, but definitely something like a darker kind of like anthology, like something you'd see like a darker anthology movie. But it's all it's just it's one obviously one story. And yeah, basically the setup is you have Woody Norman who he was in that movie Come On with uh Joaquin Phoenix. Apparently he was also in like Last Voyage of the Meteor, so he's like double horror movies this year for him. But he's this kid named Peter. He lives with like very like overprotective, overbearing parents that like they don't want him even like trick or treating for Halloween. Which actually this I didn't realize this watching it on Halloween, but this is like a perfect Halloween movie because it takes place like the week leading up to Halloween.
Huh.
And like he's getting bullied in school and all this stuff, and then kind of what happens is like at night he starts hearing like noises and then eventually starts hearing like a voice in like the wall of his bedroom, and he's trying to figure out like what is this, like is this like am I imagining this, is the actual like person or creature or something in the walls, and then his parents are like clearly hiding something and like getting like more and more like creepy and like kind of just like gaslighting him and be like there's nothing in the walls, Peter, stop talking about it. Like
Don't worry about that noise.
yeah, and his parents are played by Lizzie Kaplan and Anthony Starr, who are both great. Although my one minor nitpick is I feel like Lizzie Kaplan is going a little bit over the top. Like she's doing like some sort of like it feels like she's doing like a 30s or 40s kind of like accent of like a theatrical kind of like Hollywood like It kind of feels like what she did in like Castle Rock season 2, where she was playing Annie Wilkes. Which it clashed a little bit with like Anti-Star was like much more grounded. Like, but Anti-Star is doing like that, like his like Homelander kind of like, but like when Homelander's like trying to put on like the the thinnest facade of like being like a normal person, and it's like
Right.
barely being held
Really
on.
holding it together. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just like, it's like, come on, yeah, it's like, come on, kiddo. There's nothing in the walls. Like, just like shut up about it. Like, you gotta protect. You gotta do something to protect your family sometimes, kid. Like,
No, all sorts of red flags.
yeah. I mean, in the beginning, there's sort of like they kind of try to put on this like there's a little bit of like leeway, but then like shortly in, you're just like, oh no, these parents are terrible at hiding something, and they've done something horrible. And then like Cleopatra Coleman plays Peter's like substitute teacher, and she kind of gets suspicious about something that like Peter's like drawing like these like disturbing pictures in school, and then so she kind of like gets involved and starts investigating it. But yeah, it's a fun kind of like it gets like toward the end it gets like really like nasty, and it goes to some places you're just like, oh shit, they're doing this, okay. Like I won't spoil like the ending or like the actual like what is actually going on, but I would say definitely if you have Hulu, check it, and you want to see like a cool fun little horror movie, definitely check it out. And then I also actually it was after I watched Five Nights at Freddy's on Peacock. I was like looking for something else horror related, and then they have on Peacock the Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead, which I had not seen in forever. So I was like, oh, I'll watch that. Uh, I think it still holds up. I think that's probably one of the best like horror remakes ever made. Like obviously not as good as it can't be as good as the original one, but like I think Zack Snyder definitely put like a lot of like interesting new spins on it. Some new crazy stuff like the zombie baby birth scene is like insane in that movie, and the opening is also like just incredible. Like that opening sequence where you like Sarah Polly goes to bed and like wakes up and it's like fucking apocalypse going on.
Yep. I enjoy that movie. I think people forget that he still was a visionary for making a zombie movie and showing us like a horror movie that.
It's so odd, like watching this again and then seeing like Army of the Dead, which is like it's like you made like a great zombie movie, and then Army of the Dead is like fine, but it's nowhere near as good as Dawn of the Dead.
True, I will agree with that. Though I did like Army of the Dead, the one where it's like just the lockpicking guy. That writing was fun.
Yeah, but that barely that was like I think there was like just like side stuff like, oh hey, there's this weird zombie thing happening. You guys see this? Like, yeah. Anyway, we're robbing this bank. But yeah, I mean the cast of like that the 2004 Dawn of the Dead's awesome. Like Ving Rhames is just awesome in it. Michael Kelly, who's been in like Jack Ryan, House of Cards, and like all like everything recently. Like he was in like Lioness. Anything that's like CIA related, like he's in it now. And then, like Ty Burrell from Modern Family, just like the giant asshole, the rich asshole who just shows up at the mall and everyone hates him.
Yep. It's weird to think. I remember him from that, and then it's like years later, it's like Modern Family.
Yeah, he's like the dorky dad. like Matt Frewer shows up for like a scene, and he's like infected and just like, oh, you gotta kill me, all right.
Yeah, that's depressing.
Yeah, definitely like it kind of definitely nails like that, like Romero kind of like depressing, like shit's bad, like life's terrible sometimes. Like yep.
You gotta do what you need to do to survive, and it's like,
especially like the stuff with like Andy, the guy like across the street at the gun store that they all become friends with just by like making signs, and then they go to rescue him, and they go to rescue him, he's just like immediately killed by zombies. And Ving Rhames just formed this like giant bond with him, and like it's just like Ving Rhames just devastated after that. but then they build like the awesome like armored buses, and then like that the whole sequence at the end is awesome. Where they're just like driving through and like with like they have the chainsaws that go outside and everything. And it's also weird too because James Gunn like wrote the screenplay for that movie. And that was like one of his like
Really?
big. I think that was like one of his first like I think it was like one of his first like post trauma things. Because then after that he directed Slither, which is like his first like big directing movie.
Damn, like that's a good pedigree.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would say definitely if you have not seen the Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead in a while or ever, definitely check it out. It's very awesome zombie movie, and then definitely one of the better like horror remakes of all time. Like, if you haven't seen either, if you haven't seen Romero one or this one, I would say watch the Romero one first because that's obviously like the classic, the one that and when it basically like created the whole genre or like really like refined the whole genre. But yeah, Dawn of the Dead definitely one of Zack Snyder's best movies, and really great zombie movie. And that's it for me this week. So we can wrap things up. Definitely have a site. We've got all of our usual features up there. We've got, if you want to check out, I have a written review of Five Nights at Freddy's. If you want to read my review of that, we've got our commentary for last month, which was actually this month. Oh yeah, last month, October, Child's Play. We watched the original Child's Play because it was a surprisingly big month for Chucky last month, between like Hollywood Horror Nights Mazes and season 3 of Chucky the series and multiple anniversaries for like movies in the franchise. So yeah, we celebrated all things Chucky by watching the OG, and we'll be back this month with another commentary. And all the other, you can check out the trailers that we talked about this week. You can check out all the other regular features and everything that goes up on the site every day. So check all that stuff out. And so for Chris, I'm Zach, and we will see you next week. For more Everything Action, head to www.everythingaction.com. You can also follow us on Twitter @EVAction, on Facebook by searching for Everything Action, and follow us on Instagram @everything.action. You can also subscribe and get more episodes on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.